Imagine a giant, peacefully asleep for 87 years, now on the verge of taking a step many never thought possible. What was once synonymous with stability, tradition, and innovation in the automotive industry is now facing a crossroads. Volkswagen, a company that has navigated decades of glory, technological advances, and global prominence, is about to make the first major shock in its corporate history, a mass layoff. For the first time, a drastic move like this is being considered at the highest levels of the company. How is it possible? How can a company with such a solid reputation, with a legion of loyal employees, be about to let go of a significant portion of its workforce? The news is shaking up the market and sparking intense debates in the global economic scene. And the big question is, what led Volkswagen, one of the world's largest car manufacturers, to take this step? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of the global automotive industry? For weeks, Volkswagen has been at the center of tense negotiations with its unions. The reason? A deep and painful restructuring, something that could shift the entire dynamics of the company and the market in which it operates. This measure is not just an attempt to reduce costs. The situation goes far beyond that. It's about the survival of the brand in the face of a crisis-ridden market, with new competitors and unsustainable pressure from rising energy and operational costs, along with the increasing competition in the automotive sector. But what's really at stake here? Volkswagen, with all its tradition and historical weight, seems to have been cornered by a series of unforeseen factors. Rising energy costs, relentless competition from Asia, drastic shifts in consumer behavior in Europe, and of course, the still slow and expensive transition to electric vehicles. The green mobility that everyone expected to be the salvation is proving to be a double-edged sword. And now, faced with all of this, the company is opting for a solution that seemed unthinkable just a short time ago. Its first mass layoff in history. And the impact of this goes far beyond the cold numbers on a balance sheet. It's not just about cutting costs to maintain competitiveness. This is a symbolic move of great significance, something that directly affects the hearts and minds of the workers. Job losses are not new in the industry. However, a mass layoff from a brand like Volkswagen is something that reverberates like an alarm bell for the entire global economy. In the heart of Germany, where Volkswagen is headquartered, the news hasn't been well received. Workers from all over the country, representing a workforce of over 300,000 people, are beginning to question the company's future. On the streets of Wolfsburg, where the car factory merges with the city's very spirit, a cloud of uncertainty spreads. They wonder, is this the end of the line for Volkswagen as we know it? Or is this just a new beginning? But what could possibly lead a company with such power and prestige to take such a drastic decision? The answer is not simple, but there are a series of intertwined factors. First, the pressure of finances. Even with its massive global presence, Volkswagen has struggled to maintain competitiveness. Its market is shrinking, its factories are operating at double the cost of its direct competitors like Mercedes-Benz, and its bet on the green future isn't bringing the immediate financial returns the company expected. Technology has been a treacherous friend. Electric vehicles are expensive to produce and are still not seeing the market penetration that analysts predicted. The transition to fully electric cars is not happening as quickly as expected, and Volkswagen finds itself on a risky path to fulfill its promise of becoming a leader in electric mobility. This slow adaptation presents a tremendous risk, especially considering the pressure that competitors are putting on it. But what really shocks is that Volkswagen is saying it cannot move forward without this restructuring. What is being heard in the company's corridors is that if layoffs and factory closures don't happen, the brand won't have the resources to invest in what's necessary for innovation. They won't have the capacity to compete with giants like Tesla or even the new Asian rivals that are dominating European streets. And this is where the dilemma of all companies in the sector comes in. On one hand, cutting jobs and closing factories is a painful measure. On the other, it represents the only way to adapt to a new world. Volkswagen needs to cut to survive. It needs to let go of part of its past to ensure that the future isn't just a repository of past glories. However, such a drastic change in a company with 87 years of history has consequences that go far beyond the financial impact. There's the human factor to consider. The families that depend on these factories, the workers who dedicated their lives to building this brand. How do you deal with that? How do you respond to this collective loss without letting the domino effect damage the confidence in the automotive market as a whole? It's not just Volkswagen's future at stake here, but the future of the entire automotive industry. Such a sharp change could be the catalyst for other transformations in large corporations. Or perhaps it could even reshape the European market itself. Will other big corporations follow Volkswagen's lead? What comes next? What will be the consequences for workers all across Europe? This is just the beginning of a winding path, and the next chapters will be written in the halls of Volkswagen. The company might be on the brink of turning a page in its history, but the question remains. Will the new story be able to survive so many losses and sacrifices? Next Wednesday, when Volkswagen presents its formal proposals, the world will be watching closely. What the company decides could be the first step toward a more promising future or the beginning of an inevitable end. Subscribe and comment below. What do you think this means for the future of Volkswagen and the global automotive industry?